Have you ever felt like life has gotten heavier lately, but you can't quite put your finger on why? Like every morning, you wake up with less and less energy. Things don't excite you the way they used to. It's not just your body slowing down. It feels like your mind, your spirit, even your joy for life is fading just a little, day by day. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. So many people over 50 start noticing these shifts. And here's the thing, it's not always just aging. Sometimes the real reason is much more subtle. What if I told you that some of the small, everyday habits we don't even think twice about are quietly draining the life out of us? They seem harmless, maybe even helpful, but over time, they chip away at our energy, our mood, our health, and we don't even notice it happening until we feel stuck, tired, or disconnected. Let me ask you this. Have you ever caught yourself saying, "I don't know why I feel this way. I'm doing everything right"? If so, this video is especially for you. Today, we're going to have a heart-to-heart about 9 habits that seem harmless but may actually be damaging your life. And the good news? Once you know what they are and how to gently shift them, you can start feeling lighter, more energized, and more in control again. This isn't about big, scary changes. It's about tiny shifts that can lead to big improvements in how you feel every single day. Let's start with something that might surprise you. One of the most common and quietly harmful habits, not setting boundaries. I know that sounds serious, but let's break it down together. Have you ever said yes to something when deep down you wanted to say no? Maybe you're adult. Kids ask for help watching the grandkids, even when your body's aching. Or a neighbor needs a favor, and you say yes out of politeness, even though you feel drained. Or you go to social events you don't enjoy, just to keep the peace. Sound familiar? A lot of us grew up believing that saying yes is the kind, generous thing to do. Especially as we get older, there's this quiet pressure to stay useful, to not be a burden, to always be available. But what if that constant yes is costing you your health? Think about this. When you give your time and energy to everyone else, what's left for you? I met a man named Bill. He's 73. He used to babysit his grandkids 5 days a week, from early morning until late evening. At first, he felt good, useful, needed. But soon his back started hurting. He had trouble sleeping and he felt irritable all the time. He told me, "I didn't feel like myself anymore." Eventually, Bill had a gentle, honest conversation with his daughter. He told her he needed a few days to rest, and guess what? She completely understood. Within days of getting his time back, just a little bit, his energy returned. He started writing poetry again, going for morning walks, even joining a local group at the park. Here's a question for you. When was the last time you said yes just to avoid guilt, even when your body or heart was saying no? Setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's actually the kindest thing you can do for yourself and the people who love you. Because when you protect your energy, you show up happier, healthier, and more present. Start small. Every morning, ask yourself, what do I really need today? What don't I want to do but feel pressured to say yes to? These little check-ins can completely change your days. Now, once we start honoring our limits, there's another habit we need to talk about, one that's just as sneaky and possibly even more damaging. Bottling up our emotions. Have you ever felt hurt, frustrated, or disappointed, but told yourself to just get over it? Maybe you've thought, "I'm too old to get emotional," or "it's not worth talking about." Maybe you smiled and nodded, even when something stung. You brushed it off to avoid drama. You told yourself to let it go. But inside, you didn't. Sound familiar? So many people over 50 have learned to hide their true feelings. We think we're being strong. But here's the truth. Unfelt emotions don't disappear. They go underground and they fester. Over time, they can show up as tension, headaches, stomach pain, or even chronic conditions like high blood pressure. There's a woman I know. Her name is Susan, 68 years old. She spent nearly 10 years living with her son and daughter-in-law. Over time, there were small comments, little jabs, things that made her feel unwelcome or disrespected. But she stayed quiet. She told herself, "Don't make waves. Be grateful you have a roof." But her body started reacting. She had constant stomach issues, no matter how carefully she ate. The doctors couldn't find anything wrong physically. It wasn't until Susan started journaling, writing down how she really felt, that her body began to relax. She joined a support group for women her age, and little by little, the pain eased. Her face even looked lighter. So let me ask you this. Is there something you've been holding in, just to keep the peace? What would happen if you gave yourself permission to feel it, even just a little? You don't have to shout. You don't have to confront. But you can give your feelings a voice. In a journal, in a quiet moment, in a conversation with someone you trust. Even saying it out loud to yourself can be healing. Emotions are not weaknesses. They are signals. And when we honor them, when we give them space, we begin to heal. And as you begin to gently reclaim your energy and emotions, there's one more habit I want to explore with you today. It's subtle, it's common, and it's one most people don't even notice. You know, when we reach a certain stage in life, there's this idea floating around that we should slow down, stay quiet, and just be grateful for what we've got. And sure, gratitude is beautiful, but there's a difference between being grateful and settling into habits that slowly chip away at your spark. That brings me to another sneaky habit, spending too much time sitting still. Now I know what you might be thinking. Of course I sit. I've earned my rest. And you absolutely, I have. But the danger isn't rest. It's when stillness becomes your default and movement becomes the exception. Let's be honest. How many hours a day do you think you spend sitting? In the morning with a cup of tea, then reading, watching the news, scrolling on your phone, maybe catching a TV show after dinner. Before you know it, the whole day has passed, and your body hasn't really moved at all. Here's what's tricky. It feels innocent. You're not being lazy. You're relaxing, enjoying peace and quiet. But inside your body, something very different is happening. Your circulation slows down. Your muscles begin to weaken, especially in your legs. Your joints get stiffer. Your digestion slows. Even your mood starts to dip. More sadness, less motivation. All because your body isn't getting the gentle stimulation it needs. There's a man I spoke with recently, George, 76 years old. He used to walk every morning. Then his knees started aching, so he cut back. Before long, those short walks turned into short strolls to the kitchen. And then not much at all. Within a few months, he started having trouble getting out of chairs. His back hurt. He lost confidence in his balance. The less he moved, the harder it became to move. He said to me, "It was like I was vanishing from the inside out. But here's the good news. Your body is waiting for you. It's not too late." George didn't run a marathon. He just started standing every hour. He walked during TV commercials. He did stretches in bed. Slowly, his strength returned. He even joined a Tai Chi class with other folks his age, and found community along the way. So ask yourself this. When's the last time you truly moved your body, even for just 5 minutes? What if tomorrow you promised to take 3 short walks? Just to the mailbox, to the kitchen, around the block? Would that feel doable? You don't have to force it. You just have to invite your body back into motion. Now, while we're talking about habits that feel small but carry heavy consequences, let's talk about sleep, or more specifically, not taking sleep seriously. So many people over 50 treat poor sleep like a normal part of aging. "I just don't sleep well anymore," we say, as if it's something we have to live with. But here's something you may not know. Sleep isn't a luxury. It's not something nice to have. It's your body's way of repairing everything, and yet many of us sabotage our sleep without realizing it. We watch intense news late at night, or we scroll through our phones in bed. We fall asleep with the TV on, or sip on a cup of coffee at 5 p.m. thinking, it's just one cup. All of these seem harmless in the moment, but over time they confuse the body, disturb our natural rhythms, and lead to restless nights and foggy mornings. Have you ever woken up after 8 hours and still felt tired? That's often a sign that your sleep quality, not just the quantity, is being affected. I met a woman named Aisha. She's 71. She always felt tired, no matter how much she slept. She thought maybe it was just aging, but then she did something simple. She started turning off screens an hour before bed. She switched her evening coffee to chamomile tea. She dimmed her bedroom lights after sunset. Within a week, her sleep improved. Her mind felt clearer. She told me, I feel like I woke up from a 10-year fog. Let me ask you this. What does your bedtime routine really look like? Is it helping you rest, or making things harder without you realizing it? What's one gentle change you could try tonight, just as an experiment? You don't need to overhaul your life, just soften the edges. Give your nervous system space to unwind. And now, let's take a moment to talk about something emotional, but important. Something many of us over 50 begin to feel, even if we don't always talk about it. Neglecting your own dreams. Yes, dreams. I know, it might feel strange to even say that word at our age, but I promise you, it matters. Somewhere along the way, many of us stopped asking ourselves what we want. We focused on others, our families, our responsibilities, survival. And maybe we told ourselves, it's too late now, that ship has sailed. But here's a truth you need to hear. If you're still breathing, your dreams are still alive. They may look different now. Maybe it's not climbing mountains or writing novels. Maybe it's painting again, starting a small garden, learning an instrument, volunteering, or sharing your story with someone who needs it. I once sat with a gentleman named Mr. Chen, 84 years old. He told me, when I was young, I wanted to be a photographer, but I had to take care of my family, so I never did. I asked him, do you still have a camera? He smiled and said, I have a phone. That week, he started taking one photo a day, flowers, clouds, strangers at the park. He said it made him feel alive again. So let me ask you, is there something you once loved, but left behind? What if that spark is still waiting for you to pick it up again, just a little? Don't believe the lie that life after 60 is just about watching from the sidelines. This is your time too, your second spring, your soft restart. You get to dream again. You know, one of the most subtle ways life can wear us down is when we start saying yes when we really mean no. That brings us to the next habit that might be silently chipping away at your peace, putting everyone else's needs before your own, every single time. Now, don't get me wrong, caring for others is one of the most meaningful parts of life. Many of us have spent decades doing just that. But what happens when caring becomes over-caring? When helping others means constantly abandoning yourself? I met a woman named Ruth, 69 years old. She helps her adult daughter with the kids every day, cooks for her husband who's been ill, checks in on her neighbors, volunteers at church. Sounds lovely, right? But she told me something that stopped me in my tracks. She said, some days, I don't even know what I want anymore. I just do what everyone else needs. Let me ask you something. When's the last time you did something just for you, not to please, fix, or support anyone else? When you wake up in the morning, do you feel like your day belongs to you? Or does it already feel borrowed? It's not selfish to make space for yourself. In fact, it's necessary. Your health, your joy, your dreams, they matter just as much as the people you love. Ruth started carving out 20 minutes a day just for herself. No errands, no calls, no chores. Just a cup of tea, a walk in the garden, a book she'd been wanting to read for years. And slowly, she said she started feeling like a person again, not just a helper. So if you feel like you're always last, on your own list, maybe it's time to move yourself up a few spots. Now, let's talk about something that many of us experience, but few of us really name: holding on to old resentment. It's that quiet weight you carry over something that happened years ago. Maybe someone let you down. Maybe life didn't turn out the way you hoped. Maybe you're still angry at yourself for a decision you made in the past. It doesn't always show on the outside, but it's there, in the tightness in your chest. The way your smile doesn't quite reach your eyes. The heaviness in your heart when you're alone. And here's the truth that no one tells you. Resentment is a silent poison. It doesn't just live in your memories. It lives in your body. It raises your blood pressure. It tightens your muscles. It steals your peace. It turns today into a prisoner of yesterday. There's a man named Ibrahim, 73, who told me he hadn't spoken to his brother in over 30 years. They had a falling out over money. Both went on with their lives, raised families, built careers. But the bitterness lingered. Ibrahim said, "Every holiday, I think about calling him. But then I remember what he did, and I don't." But recently, after his own son became a father, something shifted. Ibrahim said, "I realized my anger didn't protect me. It only kept me lonely." He didn't get some perfect Hollywood-style reunion, but he made the call. He apologized for his part. He forgave the rest. He said he slept better that night than he had in decades. So I ask you gently, is there something you've been carrying too long? Something that's ready to be let go, even if just a little? What might open up in your life if that weight was finally put down? Forgiveness isn't saying what happened was okay. It's saying, I choose peace over pain. I choose my freedom. And now, let's bring our attention to another subtle habit, one that might be running quietly in the background. Talking down to yourself. You'd be surprised how many of us do this without realizing it. You misplace your keys and say, "Ugh, I'm so stupid." You forget something and mutter, "I'm getting useless." You look in the mirror and think, "What happened to me?" These words might seem harmless, but over time they become a script, a story you start to believe, and your body listens. Your spirit listens. Imagine if you spoke to your grandchild that way. "You're so forgetful. You're falling apart. You don't matter anymore. You never would. So why speak to yourself that way?" There's a woman named Lucia, 78. Every morning she'd look in the mirror and sigh. One day her granddaughter caught her and said, "Grandma, why are you so mean to yourself?" That question changed everything. Lucia started a new habit. Each morning she looked in the mirror and said one kind thing to herself: "I'm still here. I've survived so much. I'm learning to love this version of me." She said it felt silly at first. But over time, something softened. Her shoulders dropped. Her laughter came easier. Her eyes lit up again. So, here's a question to carry with you. What would change if you spoke to yourself like someone you love? What if just for today, you replaced one harsh thought with one gentle one? Because how we talk to ourselves is how we live with ourselves. You deserve kindness, not just from others, but from the voice inside your own mind. And that leads us to a powerful realization. The life you're living now is shaped, more than anything else, by the quiet choices you make every day. Not the big dramatic ones, but the small habits. The thoughts you feed, the voices you listen to, the moments you allow yourself to matter. You are not broken. You are becoming. Every day is a new chance to choose better, feel lighter, love deeper. And as we continue on, there's still one more set of habits we need to talk about. Habits that may seem like protection, but may actually be holding you back from truly living. There's something we don't always like to admit, especially as we get older. We start pulling away, not because we don't care, but because it feels safer. One of the sneakiest habits that can quietly shrink your world is avoiding connection. Now, you might be thinking, that's not me. I talk to people all the time. But I'm not talking about small talk or holiday greetings. I'm talking about real connection, being seen, being heard. letting people in. There's a man I know, Thomas, 72. He told me he used to love game nights with friends, morning walks with his neighbor, Sunday potlucks. But after his wife passed away, he slowly started saying no. He didn't even realize it at first. One day, he just looked around and said, "When did my house get so quiet?" Loneliness isn't always about being alone. Sometimes it's about feeling unseen, even in a room full of people. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you had a conversation that made you feel alive? Really alive, like someone saw the real you? Is there someone you've been meaning to call, but haven't yet? Reaching out can feel awkward, even scary. What if they don't answer? What if it's been too long? But what if they're just waiting for someone to go first? Thomas started going to a local storytelling group. Once a week. Nothing fancy, just people sharing moments from their lives. He told me, it brought me back to myself. Not just because he was talking, but because he was heard. Sometimes we don't need more therapy. We just need more connection, more eye contact, more hugs, more, "How are you really?" And this brings us to one more habit that's easy to slip into, especially when we feel tired, discouraged, or afraid, believing it's too late to change. This belief is sneaky. It dresses up like realism. You might hear yourself say, "I'm too old to start exercising. There's no point trying something new now. This is just how things are at my age." But is that really true? Or is that just a story we've told ourselves for so long we stopped questioning it? There's a woman named Ethel, 81, who didn't learn how to swim until she was 78. She said, "Every summer I sat by the pool thinking, maybe next year. Then I realized if I wait any longer, there might not be a next year." So she signed up, took lessons with toddlers half her size. She laughed, she struggled, but eventually she swam, not like an Olympian, but like someone who stopped waiting to feel alive. So I ask you, what's something you've always wanted to do but told yourself it's too late? What if it's not too late? What if now is exactly the right time? The truth is, the world doesn't get smaller because you age. It gets smaller when you stop growing, when you stop believing there's more for you. And here's something. I hope you'll carry with you long after this video ends. You are still becoming. Your best memories might not be behind you. Your greatest peace might still be ahead. Your deepest love, your fullest laugh, your truest purpose. They don't expire just because another birthday came and went. You are still here, still waking up in the morning, still breathing, still capable of changing your story. That one thought, the one that makes your heart beat a little faster when you think about it, that's not your imagination. That's your spirit tapping on your shoulder saying, "Hey, we're not done yet." So what now? Maybe now is the time to take a walk. Yes, physically, but also a walk back to yourself. Maybe it's time to let go of something heavy, to reach out to someone you've been missing, to say yes to something that scares you just a little. Maybe it's time to stop surviving and start really living again. So before we end, let me ask you one final question. What's one small thing you can do today that your future self will thank you for? It doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's drinking a little more water, calling someone you love, going outside for 10 minutes, smiling at your own reflection, because every good life is made up of small, brave choices like that. And if this video spoke to your heart today, leave a comment and tell me what resonated most with you. I'd love to hear your story, like the video if it helped you in any way. And if you'd like to join this community of people choosing to live fully, no matter their age, make sure to subscribe. There's so much more life left in you. Let's live it together. Here's to your peace, your joy, your second act. We're just getting started.